for Val Lau, Jim, Tim, Sharon, and Betsy. They've asked that this be an informal memorial service, a time of remembrance that I would like to say is relaxed, real, and to the point. Right? I can see her now. No fuss, right? So, Val was not a particularly religious person, but she lived a life of faith, yes? Yes. She loved her family, and she loved all of you. And, according to Jim, not long after she left this world, he told me that her favorite line in the scriptures, love one another as I have loved you.
Amen.
So that's what we're going to do today. So Val did this in so many ways, especially here, but I don't know what she was like back home. Was she all right? All right. Of course, she was a part of beginning the survivors group, a big part of the life of the summer school. She cared a lot about this place, and she told me, I would say a year before she left this world, that it really mattered to her that she helped to provide a place for the little ones growing up. So, that's what she did. And that's what she'll always do. She'll be whispering, she'll be in the pews during lecture. And I want to say, I have just a moment to share that she was a big part of my life. Through the last few years of her physical life, we would go for walks. We would talk. And she really wanted to talk about life and death. I don't know if you know that, Jim. But she was not afraid to die. She just really wanted to live. There's a big difference. Big difference. When her cancer was returning for the last time, she pulled me aside, and she didn't know if Jim and the kids knew, but she knew that it had come back. And she said the hardest part was not being able to ride her horses. At the end, did she just have one horse? Was it with the one horse?
Yeah.
What was that horse's name? Doobie.
Maybe that.
Doobie? Look out there now.
That horse should be here.
I know, exactly.
Misty, you know, that sounds familiar. Well, let us say that all the horses are. But, you know, when she could feel that she was weakening again, she pulled me aside, and she needed to say, she needed somebody to hear that wasn't too close, that she really felt a deeper appreciation for her family and a deeper love. There you are, Tim. A deeper sense of how huge you are. Oh, I didn't think I'd do this. Okay, well, and she has 2 grandchildren, and I don't know, are they here? Or, no, who is Abby? Okay, and Charlie? Oh, wow. I'm so glad to see you. Well, and you were big time on her mind. And she loved you very much, still does. And what she wanted more than anything was to just soak up every day. And this was last summer. And she just said, whatever time I have left, I'm okay. I'm at peace with dying. But Renee, I just really, really appreciate life right now. And so I'm really glad that I could tell you all that. Because she really needed to tell somebody that she really loved her life. So, back to the most important part of this time together, we'll be hearing from family. First, in a minute, I'll call Tim forward, and then Betsy, and Sharon, and then Jim will share. But I want to share a poem that Val and I read together about 2 years ago. And it's about the human-equine bond. Yes? And it really concludes with a very fitting aspect. So this was something Val and I shared. I ride because when I do, life is simpler and somehow more complete. Only a whiff of a clean horse is needed to remind of days gone by. For always there have been horses. I ride because of all the great horse souls who have shared their lives with me. And I have to pause there and just say, she talked about each and every horse. Each and every horse. I mean, they didn't compare to you kids. Or to Jews. And they have taught me more than I can say. Their names and faces flash before me as of old friends. I ride because of all the horses that I shall never ride. Those I have watched and marveled at from afar for all of their grace and beauty. This is the stuff of a child's dream, the kind that doesn't die with time. Always there are the horses. I ride because of the seasons. They call to me, each unique in its appeal, and all quite frequently best viewed from the back of the horse. I ride because of all things, horses are my passion. They inspire and encourage and energize and challenge in ways I cannot explain to the uninitiated. I ride because of the rush of stretching one's self just a bit further today than before, both mind and body, always, always, there are the horses. I ride because of those briefest of spans when the partnership, she loved this part, when the partnership comes to full promise, when the path twists and the barriers fall, and each footfall is measured and balanced between the two as a dance. She liked that. There are no others, only this moment and the single step to ride. The memories of those times stand vivid in my mind, to be recalled with all the freshness of the day at will, and in times less grand. But if I must choose, I ride because I have dreams yet to live. And she knew she was declining when we read this. I ride because I have dreams yet to have. And what exactly they will be tomorrow, I cannot say. But always, there will be the horses. So, I imagine that this dream lives on. Yes? She's somewhere riding a horse. So this was something close to her heart. So I'd like to ask Tim, if you'd like to come.
Thank you for being here. This is a beautiful place. It's a lot of friendly faces. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this, quite frankly, and I told myself a while ago, if I'm going to attempt this, I'm going to come up with one story. One only. And I realized very quickly that that's impossible. You all have such a personal relationship with my mom that you have stories to tell me, and I would be glad to hear them in person one-on-one. So I thought, she was my mom. I was her only son, right? That's what I had. I had stories about what she was like as a mother. There's too many of those as well. There's 1,000 of those. Too many. I got one story that encompasses Val Lau as a mother. And I'll try to keep it short. Junior, senior year, I'm still living at home, and I was in a band, and our band was doing very well, and we had a really big show. And it was in East Lansing, and that's a whole story in itself, but we did it. We did 2 nights in a row with a really big band, really big crowd. It was a very great night. I went outside and I was climbing into the limousine. Somebody said, "Where's the after party?" Since my parents were out of town on one of the many fantastic vacations they're taking, I said, "Well, it's at my parents' house." That's the after party. So nobody really knew where it was at. We were in the car, and I said, "Just follow us." And I sent one guy over here, and we started driving towards Stonewood Drive, and there was a parade of vehicles behind us. And we pulled this limousine in front of the Potter's house.
Potters.
And I told a couple of my guys, I said, "Go inside and grab every little thing you can find. Everything. Put it in a cabinet. Little vases, fake fruit, there's pictures." They went in and took every single thing they could find, and they put it in the cabinets, and we continued to have an after-show party with 100 people. A keg showed up. I brought security with me. I looked out the front window. There was cars everywhere on both sides of the road. I think there was neighbors having a meeting on their front porches trying to figure out what was actually happening. So there was a party at Jim and Val Lau's house, and they were smoking cigarettes, and there was beer, there was people in leather and long hair, and it was probably very disturbing to some of the neighbors. And I knew there was no way I could hide this. Other parties at my house that I have hidden. Scott Pennebaker's not here. So the party was a great success. We didn't burn the house down. The beer ran out. Everybody left. We cleaned up the next day. I don't know. They came home a day or two later, and I'm sure they heard stories from all the neighbors. So my mom came to me and she said, "What happened?" And the story of this evening is much, much longer than I explained it to her. And she looked at me and very quietly said, "I'd like you to do that sometime when I'm here." She was bummed out that she missed the after party.
That's funny.
That's all you need to know. Right? That's all I'm going to say, except for the fact that in most recent days, the thing I am absolutely most proud of, thank you for mentioning it, is that I was able to move my children back here from Florida, so Grandma Lau could get to know her grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
So thank you all for being here, and I'm glad she had the time to do that, and I love her very much, and I will miss her every day. And thank you for officiating my wedding.
Thank you.
Tell me when. Give me the key. The most time I spent with my mom as an adult, especially after I moved to Texas, was here at Almont. Mom loved coming to camp and came every year since she met Dad. She wasn't religious. She was always the first to volunteer to help with childcare during the Sunday services so she could leave early, but she loved the people, playing bridge, and she absolutely loved not having to cook for a week. Growing up at camp, she was the enforcer of the dorms. I guess the apple didn't fall far from the tree. In the little dorms, we were even referred to her as Miss Hannigan. As teens, many of my male counterparts would get caught sneaking out by her. She even stopped Jamin from trying to climb the flagpole in the middle of the night. I talked to her about this as an adult, and she said, "I wouldn't have cared what he was doing if he had just been quiet." But he woke me up with the clanging of the ropes on the pole. Mom did not like just sitting around, a trait I did not inherit. Just last summer, one of my favorite memories is seeing her riding around in the back of the tractor, hauling branches with a bunch of teens and young adult boys. I think I will miss Mom most here at camp, but her memory will be all around us. During childcare, during the Women's Alliance meeting when we have to find someone else to shop for cakes, during swimming when I wish I had a little floaty to help me with the swim test, and in her room upstairs in Little Rec, and during all the meal times we would share together. Thank you.
And didn't write down. I went to Europe when I was 19, and Mom and Dad took me to the airport, and Mom was getting all teary when I left. And of course, as a 19-year-old, I thought, oh, you know, my mom's gonna miss me. No, I later found out it was because she wanted to go. Anyway, I wanted to also say what Tim said. Thanks. So many people sent notes and wrote stories about Mom as like a human as opposed to a mom, and that was really awesome to read. And so same thing, like we're happy to hear any of those stories because it's really fun. So even though my life was very, very different from my mom's, and she didn't always understand my life, she always supported me. When I said I'm gonna quit my job and go to Africa, she said, okay, honey. And I'm not good at doing impressions, but I can hear that voice in my head. Okay. When I decided to go on sabbatical and live in Bogota, Colombia, short pause. Okay, honey. She never pressured me or made me feel inadequate that I wasn't married and didn't have kids. And so also thank my siblings for taking care of all that on my behalf. But she also knew that my friends have always been my extended family, and she always welcomed and cared about and supported and you know, really wanted to know about my friends and what we were doing. So like Betsy said, I'll think about my mom a lot, but there are a few things that specifically come to mind. I'll think of her anytime I have to buy store-bought jelly instead of going down to the basement to get a jar of her famous raspberry jelly. Anytime I have to go to a tailor instead of bringing something home to fix that she would have done in 10 minutes. And anytime I have to Google something to do with cooking or baking instructions, because I never know how to do that. And Google always has the answer, but there's nothing that replaces calling your mom. And I will try to keep her voice in my head when things go wrong on one of my trips that I love to go on. For one of her favorite pieces of advice that she gave me was, as long as you're safe, it's all part of the adventure.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good.
And we had an exchange sister, Nadia, from Germany, lived with us for a year, and we're still keeping close contact with, and she wasn't able to be here, so she sent me a little thing that I'm going to read. She says, thank you, Mom, for your open heart and open arms to welcome me into your family, for your warm smile and your kindness, for your patience and your encouragement in so many ways, for your understanding and your words of wisdom, for your care and love, and for the fun and happiness you brought into my life. Thank you for all the memories that I keep in my heart. Love, Nadi.
Oh,
There's no way I can follow this. When all this went about and happened, I was thinking I was going to have to talk about all the good things and all the good people she knew. But then I realized everybody knew all that. I didn't go over how nice she was and how she treated people and how she loved people. And after this thing, I've got a whole cards I can just throw away. I always wondered how things work out. Everybody has a story about how they met their loved ones, their wives. And my story, I could go over it a lot, but somehow how she wound up the love of my life started back 100 years ago when my mother, Frances Locke, migrated up here because her father and she was a widower, and she started coming to Almont, and that's how the Almont people started coming into her life. Because my mother then got a teaching certificate and worked at Washington School in Royal Oak and met my aunt Marion. Where's Margot? My cousin Margot's mother. The Lau Locke interaction happened right there at Washington School. probably 70, 80 years ago. Through my cousin's mother, Marion, she met my father. So they got married, and then my Aunt Marion got married. The problem is, got two young couples. The wives have to quit their jobs because they're teachers, and they can't teach when you're married. And so they decided to buy a house together in Royal Oak. And they bought a house together on 406 West Hudson in Royal Oak, Michigan. It was a two-flat. My uncle and my aunt owned the upper story. My dad owned the lower story, and I don't know who owned the ground. I don't know. So anyways, I grew up with two families. And my sister, she was born in 47 or so. I was born in 37. I was born in 39. Margaret came along in 30-something.
41.
41. And we lived, the first 8 years of my life, Margot was just as much a sister as my sister. The families lived together. Every day we played together, we'd fight together. She stabbed me in the I held her down on the sidewalk in front and dribbled spit on her forehead. My uncle got mad at me, just like a father would. It was two families, but we lived together. After they moved out, they moved just around. They moved to Pleasant Ridge, which is 10 minutes away. The families continued to be holidays together. I don't know, people down now, we used to go to Hedges Wigwam for every birthday, which is a 10-mile road in Woodward. I don't know if anyone here remembers that.
Yes.
Anyway, the bottom line was, in high school I dated a couple of her friends. She dated one of my very best friends. My uncle would build a cottage in Port Sanilac on the last 100 feet of, my grandfather owned 1,000 feet of the fence, and at the end they bought a cottage there. Every summer, well into my teens, I'd go up there to be with Margot and Ward and Aunt May. So there was literally a sister-cousin relationship to there. So when my sister went to MSU, then I went to MSU. MSU then was, if you could chew gum and walk, you're in. Anyway, so where was it? My sister went, I went, and then Margot decided that she was going to go to MSU. Okay, so that summer, we were up at the cottage on a holiday, whatever it was, the whole family, just like we've done for years and years and years and years. And I tell Margot, you better have a cute roommate. And she came through. I remember the first instant I saw her. It's ingrained in my, that face, the smile. I don't know if I fell in love with her. It just blew me away. The other thing that was advantage to me is that the university, in their wisdom, placed Margot and Val in the dormitory that was right across the street from my fraternity house. I didn't have to walk from here to the big house. I called her up, and she'd come out. And so the next 6 months, I occupied her time so much that nobody else, I kept asking her out, and she kept saying yes. And so she couldn't say no, you know. So anyways, for some reason or another, she loved me as I loved her. Anyway, so we spent the rest of this, I had 2 more years in school, she had 4 years in school. We all did our thing, we graduated. I had to go in the service for 6 months, so I didn't go to Vietnam, which was kind of a better trade-off to 6 months in Kentucky or Vietnam. And so then we were pinned. I don't know, we both, I don't know if pinning meant anything other than you were pinned. I don't know if they do it nowadays. People get pinned. I didn't know what that meant. So anyway, life went on. I I moved out of the fraternity, I graduated, I got a part-time job at the TV station, I started my master's degree, and then I got for 6 months, and that was about at the end of her graduation, she was gonna graduate. That summer would have been her first foot set on this campus. It was of August of '62, right?
Yeah.
August of '62. We were going, she met me, I drove to Chicago and brought her to Lansing because a fraternity brother of mine was getting married in Birmingham. And then we were gonna come, because we couldn't stay alone, we were coming up here because my parents were up here during the Almont session. So we went to the thing, blah, 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 blah. We came up here, just to show one thing about my dad and I, both of my dad and I are half full guys. Nothing's gonna go right. That's what my problem with dating her was. There's no way this gal's gonna. But anyways, we're heading up to Almont. We're in downtown Rochester. There's no freeways then. About 2 in the morning, and my dad's driving back from Almont into Royal Oak because he's worried that we're so late and there's no cell phone. Anyway, so we get up here, and as near as I can determine, this is where I popped the question, and this is how I did it. Her sister, Sharon, who was an outstanding woman in her own right, and her 2 boys are here, was planning to get married in June. This would have been, I would assume maybe a time in August. The camp used to go from 2 different, sometimes it was August, so I don't know, but anyways, the 2, now where was I?
Sharon and Jerry.
Posing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So anyway, she knows now that Sharon and Jerry are gonna get married the following June, after Jerry graduates. Sharon's been working in Chicago. And we're sitting there, and I swear we could be sitting on that upper deck of Old Red. I don't know where this happened, but I'm telling you, there's a good percentage happening. And I looked at her, and we were talking about the wedding, and I said, why don't we get married with them? That was it. They're getting married, let's get married with them.
And then what? And then what?
And then what? She smiled again with open eyes. That was her response, and that's the second remember I had. Not the closed eye smile, but the one with the open eye. That told me, yes. Now she didn't talk to her sister by then. It all worked out. We had a beautiful wedding in Chicago. We had a reception at the Chicago Yacht Club because Sharon had connections. I took a round the state honeymoon from Chicago through Wisconsin, and we came down to about 3 or 4 days. I said hello, goodbye. I went away for 2 weeks of summer camp. I get back from summer camp, and she had taken in a straw cat. She didn't name it. Val was, of course, a half full gal, and there's no doubt about that. But she did reserve the right not to name the cat till I came home. Named the kitty. We then have 4 or 5 kitties. We've had a cat for over 60, 70 years. One time we had 2 cats and a dog. We had a bird. The cat ate the bird. We had fish. We had silky worms. We had goldfish. Mice in the house. Anyway, so my life was like that. I just, the whole 65 years I've been in love with her, and she was in love with me, and I got a couple stories to tell. And horse shows. The horse business, I'm surprised she never petitioned you guys to bring a big pasture.
Yeah, I thought about that. I
don't know. Anyway, okay. The second time we were at Nadi's house, we were very close with Nadi, of course, and her friends, her parent. We were at Nadi's house, and by then Val was in the horse mode, big time. We didn't have the lake house yet, but she had a horse lease. So she wanted to see a horse. We'd been in Germany for 12 hours, and she hadn't seen a horse. To Nadi, is there any horse things around here? And she said, well, there's a stay of something down the road. Rosie, her mother, said, we'll take you down. So she speeds down there, the four of us. Prior to this, what I didn't know was that Carol Johnson, which is one of her gurus, instilled in Val the idea that the Arabian horse is it. I don't know you horse people, if you agree with that, don't agree with it, but the Arabian horse was the horse to have. So she had her only Arabians through her life. So she goes to this place and we're sitting there. The guy's trumping out on a horse and he comes over, can I help you? Of course, he's all German speaking. And she says, do you have any Arabs here? And he said, no, but there's a Mexican down there. So anyways, we continue on, we go on our tour, and at the end of our tour, we're in Hungary, and you've probably been on the bus tours and all that. Val way to go to a country was to get the license, get in the car and drive her home. No way I could do that. No, I need to have somebody showing me around. Anyway, so we went on bus tours. They were great. We had great people. Anyway, so this is in a Hungary town. You're going to see a demonstration of the Hungarian war horse and soldier. So they came out just, these horses, they got guns. The horses had stupid enough to fall down and let these guys using the shield. That's what the horse's job was, to protect the soldier. Anyways, we go through that. And then they do all kinds of tricks with the horse. Not tricks, but marches. And then they ask, would anybody here like to ride one? Go! Before he got it out of his mouth. There's only one other guy, one female and male. And when you go in there tonight, there's a picture of her on this horse. It's a wide shot, so she's only about this big. But you can see the look on her face. And she's coming, I'm talking about at full speed in front of this guy. It's great. Anyway, so we would go out every other year on it with the trailer. And Val was a master. She had to be to pull a two-horse trailer and negotiate. I couldn't do crap. I could do a pull-through at it, pulling through from backing up and up. So Val, we came to a place in Arizona. It was a resort. And our spot, normally we go to a campground, the guys would talk to me about how to park and where to go. I said, talk to her. She's along for the ride. So these guys show her the spot she's got to go in. And literally, I don't know, there's some horse people who had trailers. It was a right, almost an exact right turn trailer off a road in between two trailers. There was room there, but she had these guys sitting, standing there, just watching her. She pulled that thing in with like one adjustment.
Wow.
Right in. And she couldn't have been prouder. Absolutely. She sold those guys. Okay. Next, we're out in Arizona or New Mexico at the Antelope Canyon. I don't know how many people have been to Antelope Canyon in Arizona. So they do a ad now on TV for some sort of medicine like they do that. Anyway, so we go. It's all native run because it's on Navajo land, the reservation. So we go on this. It's fine. I have a trailer. There's no phone. I think we have a plug-in phone. There's not a cell phone. So we're sitting there, and after we get back from the tour, she says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I'm getting up in the morning and riding out and driving out to the reservation because our guide's going to take me on a ride." I said, "Oh, really? I don't, is this something he does?" "No, he didn't. I just asked him if he would do it." He had a horse and horses, and he said, "Do you ever take people out for rides?" She said, "Yes." So she leaves me in this campground at like 6:30 in the morning. I have no phone. The only thing I know is where the tour company was, but I couldn't get there, of course, because I didn't have a car. But 2 hours, 3 hours later, she returned with a story. She learned everything about life on the reservation, this and that. She did this a couple other times, so I got used to it. The next one, this is next to the last one. Nadia came to our house and country in New York. She was in New York City on the top of the World Trade Center 8 or 10 days before it came down. Nadia didn't like to fly in the first place, but that, you know, so, but she came from she didn't know this yet. She come to our cottage and she spent a great week at the cottage, fishing and everything else. She fortunately with her fiance to be, but now we're going to drive to Todd's house in Chicago, my cousin, my nephew, because she's supposed to catch a plane out of O'Hare back to Germany the next morning. Val wakes me up in that morning and says, Jim, you better look at the TV, because that's when the airplanes are going. That's when all planes canceled, boom. Nadia, you know, now fortunately for Nadia's folks, they knew us, they know where she was, she knew that we were safe. We go back to the cottage for a week and trying to go through the rigmarole of when is she going to be going home, how, whatever. And Nadia's getting nervous and nervous. And Val looks at Nadia and says, Nadia, because Val's, you can't fly, you'll take a boat. You'll take a boat, you'll get home. Okay, last one. This was where fate, you know, we're bought a used Chevrolet truck. We always had Chevrolet trucks, I don't know, anyway, but now we got a 19-foot camper, and we're going out west. We're down in Louisiana, heading west on whatever the southernmost highway is. We're heading to Texas. And right, you're going through Henderson Swamp, which is the freeway goes there. Right in the middle of the swamp is a rest area that serves both lanes. So it's, she's driving, boom, transmission line, beep, right before the exit. After the exit, that's where I belong. But her full glass, we went off that exit, called AAA. AAA says, we'll send somebody. This is a Sunday. We'll try some. So Chief's towing comes. A Native American comes half an hour later, says, well, you don't want to leave it here. Frenchie's campground is right around the corner. So you follow me. You've got some gear there. You probably got second. Follow me to Frenchie's campground. So we go to Frenchie's campground. He gave me a list of transmission shops in Lafayette, Louisiana. So Monday we call him, the chief goes away, he said, call me and say what, and I'll come back and tow you in. So she starts calling, the number 1 can't see, the Friday or Saturday is booked up, number 2 back on the list. Number 4 is Junior Dupree's A1 transmission in Lafayette. Junior has room for us, right at the which, okay. So chief comes over, gonna tow us, and he's got his little daughter with us. He said, what can we do in Lafayette? We're going to be in Lafayette for about 3-4 days. He says, well, you can go to the Tabasco factory. Well, that's something. Which he did. Anyways, you get to Junior Dupree's, and it's just like you could imagine. The office got this young lady in at the desk, and there's a crib, there's a playpen with a little baby in it. She's running the office. Junior's a stock car driver. He's got all his ribbons and the pictures on the wall. And he says, well, I could do a better job than Chevy, but I'll guarantee it, but you don't want to come back here if you have a problem. So we got to get a reman. We got to get a Chevy remanufactured. So I've got to check Lafayette to see if there's one in town. So he does, and he finds that there's a reman. And so we leave the car, we get Enterprise to pick us up. We go to, and we start doing Louisiana. We go to the Tabasco factory. We went to the oldest rice factory in America. We went to all these different things that tried to explain what the difference between a Cajun and a Creole is. Different. Anyways, we're at the Tabasco factory. I call up Junior and said, well, that's done. I don't know, 18. But, there's always this but. I think your problem's in your differential. Okay, so that'll be another couple of days, another whatever, another few bucks. But I think he was probably honest. I gave him. So anyways, we go through some more things for a couple of days, and that night we go to a Cajun restaurant, very famous in the area. And Val says, do you have anything here that's not spicy? Val said, why do you ruin good food with hot spicy? Anyways, I don't remember the outcome of that, but we did. So now, we go to Junior Dupree, we're gonna pick out. And Val, because she really is interested, because she is a truck driver and a trailer person and all this, asked, is there anything you think I could have done better? Like she had a cause, you know, with something, the transmission broke. And Junior looked at her and said, well, you could have bought a Ford. Anyway, we loved each other for over 60 years. I love her now. I'll love her forever. She was one of a kind, without a doubt. Thank you so much for coming.
So Reverend Renee is going to do a closing prayer, and then we're going to walk back across to the dining hall. Kurt is going to lead us in a toast, and then at that time, if anybody else wants to say words, that would be great. We got. Is that what you were asking, Megan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the prayer is gonna be short because the last time I was with Val, she asked me to pray for her, but she said, keep it short. So this is for her. It's not too short. Okay. Creator of all that is good, we know that you are everywhere. We know that you consecrate this place and this time together. So we release Val's soul into your divine care and keeping, this soul that we love. Let's just take a moment of silence to say to Val what we need to say and to hear what we need to hear. And we thank you, God, for your ever-present light on our way. Be with us through the seasons. Be with us when we miss her. Be with us when we celebrate her. And especially, be with us here. May the peace of our Christ be with you, now and always. Amen.